So how cool was that? I hope your mind is now bustling with ideas about how you can share your next Power BI report. Our next topic is around reporting security. It isn't the most exciting of topics, but it is one of the most essential, because the minute your data gets into the wrong hands and is seen by the wrong people is the minute you've got a big crisis going at your company. So we do need to cover this. It's not the world's longest demo, but it does give you some really good ideas about what's available in Excel, which isn't actually much, versus what's available in Power BI, which is actually really granular and very cool. So let's get started and let's watch the pre-recorded video. Right, now it's time to talk security. Which is the best, Power BI or Microsoft Excel? Before we get into that, let's just have a think about what type of security most companies want. So imagine you have a data set that's got all the salary information for all of the employees in the company. Most companies would not want everybody else to see that. There are some companies out there that are very transparent and do want that to be shown, but most companies don't want to show salary information. So that's, when you think about that, there's two levels. First off, one, can I get into the file first off? And then two, if I can get in, can I only see the data that's pertinent to me? So in our salaries example, if a line manager is able to access an Excel file, then ideally we only want him to be able to see his own staff's information. So what we normally have to do in Excel, we probably have to we have a master staff's salary spreadsheet that usually HR or the top level board management will have access to. And then you need to create a subsection of that just for that line manager's salary information, create another one and give him that file. So you'll end up with one Excel with a sub Excel for every single line manager in the company, which is a pain. And the reason for having to do that, there is currently no way in Excel to do what they call row level security. So the options in Excel, you can basically store the file, the actual whole XLS, into somewhere secure like SharePoint or OneDrive, and then you can assign an individual user to access it, read it, edit, update it. Or you can put them into groups, and then you can say that group can read, edit, update it. And then the other option is you've got something called Password Protect. Now, I believe Password Protect was put in because historically there's a whole culture that's been born out of the fact that Excel's years old. People love to share Excel files. So they're emailed every day. They're stored on network drives. They're unsecure in SharePoint, and people are just used to opening Excel and getting the data. And so I think Password Protect was put there just to give another level of security. But as I mentioned, there is no way to actually secure an Excel file down. So imagine we've got this visualization here, it's the one we used earlier, and we wanted to be able to show this chart to somebody, and you wanted to give all the filters. So you just want to show that report information. Well, in Excel, you kind of haven't got any options. You're going to have to share this spreadsheet, which means they can get to everything. And if they can get to everything, they can update the data. They can see data that shouldn't be pertinent to them. The only option you really have with Excel is to store the spreadsheet in another location with the data in, and then actually data import it. So create a data connection that brings it across. But in many times, you probably will have the user that viewing it will have access to the underlying data set. And it's, to be honest, that's quite painful to do. So that's really your options in Excel. It's limited. It's kind of like if you've got the keys to the front door, you're going to get in. And once you're in, you can do what you want. So Power BI, on the other hand, is more robust. So first off, Power BI has the option of this thing. It's got this concept of a workspace. Now, a workspace is something that sits in the Power BI service, which is a workspace can contain one or more reports and data sets in there. And first off, if you don't have access to the workspace, you ain't going to be able to get to any of the reports within it. So that's your first level of security. That's like your keys in the door. So let's just take a look as an example. So I've got Microsoft Teams loaded here, the desktop application. And in here, I'm logged on as the Club Service account. And you'll see what I've done is I've pinned the Power BI application to Teams, which I strongly recommend you do, by the way. And if you click on workspaces, you can see I've created a workspace called Power BI Demo. And in there, I've got my athletes webinar. So this is the Power BI dashboard I've been showing you. here, this is the actual report I've been showing, and I've published this report. And the way I got this report in is I went publish, and I picked publish to Power BI, save, so save the report obviously, and then I picked my Power BI demo because that's the workspace I've created in the cloud using the Power BI service to store my reports, which is really cool because it means that you don't have to send instances of the Power BI file to all the staff like you do with Excel. They just, as long as they can get to the Power BI service and they've got access, they'll be able to view your reports, which is lovely. So in this browser, I've got Teams running. So it's in the web browser. I'm logged in as myself. So Mark Jones, that's my beautiful face there. And if you look in workspaces here, I don't have access to Power BI demo. So I can't get to the report that's been published by the Collab service user. So how do I fix that? Well, very, very easily. So I go back to the Teams desktop, logged in as the Collab service account. And all I've got to do, because I'm in the workspace, which is Power BI demo, all I've got to do is click on the access, and then I've got to invite myself. So let's go and invite that account, which is the other one I'm logged in as, and I want him to be a viewer. Add that. Boom. So now, if I go back to here, logged in as myself, let's just give this a refresh. It might take a little bit of time. I've seen this take a few minutes, so hopefully it will work for this webinar. Let's have a look. Here we go. She's loading, workspace. Yes, I've got it, brilliant. So now I've got access to the report because the service account's given me access. So in I go, and voila, I can now look at the reports. I can filter them. I can drill through as well, so I can do everything in the report, but I can't get to the data underneath, which is really neat. Very, very neat. So the second challenge we have as companies is we need to be able to lock down the data so that certain people can only see certain parts of the information. And the way you do that in Power BI is you have this concept of roles. So here we go. So a role is, by default, everybody's can see everything, which is currently that Mark Jones account here can see everything. So if I go back here and go back, you can see that I can see absolutely everything. Let's order this by sport. This is going to be something I want to show you. I need to have one that shows you football. Right, there's football, because this is going to make sense in a second. So you can see now I've got football showing for me. So I can see that the average height of a football team is 170 over the course of the Olympics for people that got bronze medals who were female. So to go back here, what I've done is I've created a swimming and football manager. Bit of a contrived, silly example, but imagine you've got a user where you only want them to be able to see data set that's filtered down to swimming and football for the sport. So I've created one, I've saved it. Now, all we need to do is go and put me into that. So the service account is going to put Mark into that role. And the way I do that is you go onto here, you go onto security, and then you end up with the roles. So once you publish your Power BI report to this Power BI service, these roles become available. So let's go and add me in here. Add. Save. So now I'm in that role. And that role equates to a DAX query. So just as a refresher, this is a DAX expression, so you can get pretty complex with these and you can actually nest them, etc. So this is a DAX expression. I'm not going to go into it now, but it's pretty powerful. And if that expression evaluates to true for me and I'm in that role, I will only be able to see swimming and football. So let's just see if that's worked. Let's have a look at what that's done to my report. Let's refresh this. Reset the filters. It takes a while. Let's just refresh the entire thing. Fine, let's give that a bit of a go. Come on. Wiki Power BI. Let's open the report again. I can see everything, so I've obviously done something incorrect. Maybe I'm pinpointing here as well. I'm in both roles. So all I need to do is get myself out of there. That's a good little test, actually. Save that. Back in here. Refresh this. That's the problem there, is because I was in both roles where I just need to be in the one. So hopefully now you're going to see a filtered down Power BI report that's just for swimming and football. There you go. Perfect. So that's really powerful, I'm sure you agree. And I've literally got no way of getting back to the other data. So I can't go and see cycling. I can't see athletics or anything. I've just filtered. So in my salaries example, you might have employees down here, salaries on as the x-axis. And that's all I could see. I wouldn't get to see everybody else's salary information. So Power BI is pretty cool like that. So it allows you to do, just as recap, it allows you to secure access at the workspace level, but also in addition to that, do row level security. So I hope that gives you a good idea of why I think Power BI is better in this case than Excel, because it gives you that row level security and it's very flexible. And in addition to that, I can't really get to the data like I can when I've got access to Excel, and I can't change the data, I can't modify the data. I can only see what the report creator wants me to see, which I think is very powerful.